Please feel free to turn off your camera, etc. Okay, so hello and welcome to Building a Pamoja Oxfordshire, addressing race and cultural inequalities in access to public spaces. Before we get started, if people can assure that they are initially muted, and I'll deliver a brief introduction to the Build Back Fairer series and healthy place shaping in Oxfordshire, before passing to social sculpture and African families in the UK Ambassador Diane Regisford, who will be leading the session today. I'll leave it to her and the local voices with experience in organising in this area to explain what Pamoja Oxfordshire is before heading into some discussion groups. Hopefully with the thought of what might be our next steps to address the things that we'll be talking about today. These sessions are connected to supporting Oxfordshire's healthier place shaping approach. The first principle of which is to build back fairer. To start with, everything we do is done with an inequalities focus that recognises that our built environments, the activity within our communities, and even our health systems have barriers to access that make it more difficult for people to live happier, healthier, and more active lives. Hence the title of the series of talks, Build Back Fairer. Another healthy place shaping principles is to think local. So I'm very happy that in addition to Diane, we'll be hearing from a number of community organisers from Oxfordshire. The third principle is that everything is connected, recognising that in addition to the way our environment is designed, people's interactions with it is also influenced by friends, family, community groups, and national and local policy. Though each of our Build Back Fairer sessions will focus upon a collective group, no individual is defined by a sole characteristic, and they will face multiple barriers and bring multiple strengths to build upon. That's why I'm particularly looking forward to hearing from Taiwa Oluwatui from the African Caribbean Support Group for Families Living with Autism, ahead of next month's Build Back Fairer session that will focus on access inequalities faced by people with disabilities. And that's part of the longer term discussion we want to encourage. We want to go beyond this hour and even beyond this series. We want to catalyse collaboration between those people we are partnering with and inviting to speak and you in the audience. The key question across these sessions is, how can we work better together? By focusing upon what's strong and build upon that. And we encourage you to follow up with us on that, because we know that to protect our NHS from the growth and impact of those chronic diseases, those not passed to person like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and chronic respiratory diseases, those are described as a slow motion disaster that the World Health Organization believes will challenge the very foundations of public health. We need to make our public spaces, be that the streets, parks, or other outdoor environments accessible for all to be active within. So with that, I'll hand across to Diane.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that introduction. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the second session of the series. It's our privilege and pleasure to be here. My name is Dr. Diane Regisford. As Matt introduced, I am a social sculpture practitioner, founder of the Evoking Belonging Living Practice Center for Social Sculpture, where we look at issues of racial justice, social justice, cultural and healing justice through research and community-based programs. Today we have 4 speakers from various parts of our communities, but I wanted to, before handing over to them and outlining how we continue this program today, I wanted us to just take a moment to pause and to reflect. This is October, Black History Month, and we always say that our experience is an everyday 365-day affair. The title of this session, Race and Cultural Inequalities in Public Spaces. I want us to pause for a moment, and I invite you to really explore within yourself what emerges for you in terms of an emotion when you think about the title of this program today. The reason we're doing this is because we are here to pool resources, as Matt has said, to work together. We will share aspects of our lived experience, community-based organizational leadership. Community-based leaders are in the room. There are lots of resources that we typically reach for. And I believe the heart is one that is very important, that is rarely accessed in these spaces. So I'm going to invite you, if you will, and if you are willing, it's up to you, just to place your hand on your heart for a moment and just sense into what emerges for you when you consider this title, Race and Cultural Inequalities in Public Space. And then just type it into the chat, just one word. We'll allow 30 seconds for this. Thank you. Thank you. I'd invite you to keep typing them in as we go. Today, we're joined by 4 very energetic, very devoted and dedicated community-based workers. I'll introduce Jackie Gitao from African Families in the UK, who will share a bit about how we come to this holding space called Pamoja Oxfordshire. And then we'll hand on to the others. I'll start with Jackie. Jackie, welcome. Each speaker, I'll invite you to speak for 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Gosh, my picture looks, it's because where I'm sitting, the light is behind me and I can't turn. So I'm sorry about that. I hope I'm appearing as clear as possible to you. My name is Jackie Gitao. I run a small CIC in Oxfordshire called, actually the UK, African Families in the UK, just what it says in the tin and much more. We work even with other migrant families that need the support. And we say that we are there to bridge the gap for migrant families that are here to access the services. And these are services which may appear very straightforward for somebody who knows it. But if you don't know the system, if you've just come, the education system will be different for you, the health system, social care. So if you're trying to run a family here, things that may just go in the stride of anybody else, but for a family that's trying to set in and combining these various cultures together, it can actually become problematic. So after UK, we exist to support these families to access the services quickly before it becomes a crisis and easily, and that's for the outcome, the best outcome for their children, the ones whom we call the third culture children. They are children who are living with more than one culture in their home, and every day, their whole life, they're trying to navigate these different cultures. So after UK, our aim is that we make this as easy as possible for the children. Now, this afternoon is not about Afri UK, it's about Pamoja. And I'll just share my screen so that you can see it right before your eyes. And then while I talk. So Pamoja Oxfordshire, what it is, and Pamoja is a Swahili word meaning together. So actually we are saying together Oxfordshire, all the people of Oxfordshire. But it is a holding space currently, a holding space. So in the last 18 months, we have all lived through the pandemic. We've all lived through a very, very different time in history and just trying to make a sense of it. And one of the big outcomes of that, and which even this session this afternoon showed, was that just the huge disparity there is in outcomes, in experiences of our community, and our community is as diverse as anything. So, but the outcome of that was that ethnic minority people, Black people, actually fared worse off and in all the areas. If you want to check, is it health? They still fared worse. Is it financial? They still fared worse. Is it their social experiences? Black Lives Matter happened during that same period. So even their social experiences historically and until the present age, they were still faring worse. And there has been an awakening. We are saying as a community, no, we don't want that to happen. We want that to change. Now, the government and other big bodies tried to put money together to help people recover from the pandemic. And one of them, they thought, let's target the group that's been most affected. And they wanted to send funding directly to the groups. And Oxfordshire did not have an infrastructure organization that was Black-led. So even in that particular area where we were thinking, okay, now let's make a difference, we still find that that didn't exist. This one here is not, I can't even say whose fault it was because we are here ourselves. But now we are trying to remedy that situation. About 17 community leaders got together and we were invited by OCF. Actually, are the ones who called us out and said, this is needed, come on together. So about 17 community leaders came together, and out of those 17, 7 volunteered themselves. And they said, we'll set up a committee, a working committee, to try and set up this infrastructure organization. And that happened by, we had to raise money, first of all, look for funding, get the funding, and do a community research. Talk to people. Is this what you want? What do you think about it? And what should it look like? So for the last about 6 months, this has been happening mostly via Google form and telephone calls, Zoom video calls with these 7 community researchers, talking to individuals, sending out these forms and getting the feedback back so that whatever we set up, at least we'd have a good consensus. So I'm happy to say we are coming to the end of this. We got about 84 respondents. There's many more ethnic minority people in Oxfordshire, but it was really the sort of people, and there's much more reasons why I can't even explain why we didn't go to get bigger than that, but 84. And then out of that, there were 40 organizations represented in the respondents. But they're all overwhelmingly said that yes, we should create an infrastructure organization. And so that's Pamoja Oxfordshire. At the moment, it's just a holding space where we are saying, yes, we have received the answer. This is what we think. These 7 of us are meeting this weekend to actually close this work. And then after that, we'll send the findings back to the community and get this report out and then discuss next steps with that. Diane, do you want any more of that, or is that enough for now?
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Is Sister Yasmin in the room? I'm looking for her on my screen. Yasmin, are you here?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Sister Yasmin?
Hello. Hi.
Okay, wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you, Jackie, for that very, very quick roundup of very deep and necessary work that has been done over the past year and some. We will explore more in groups later, but next I'd like to introduce Yasmin. Yasmin is based in Banbury. Over to you, 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello. So I suppose I won't take it any further back. I started community work and volunteering for the Banbury Mosque just over 3 years ago. It started off with a food bank where I read in a Tesco magazine about the surplus food, how it went to landfill. So I started collecting the food and bringing it back in carrier bags and putting it outside the mosque for people to take the food. And from that we grew to a fridge, and from that we grew to a hut that's self-sufficient. That has we've extended to 2 community fridges now that carries 32 deliveries a week from supermarkets, and anybody's welcome to come and collect. Though it is for landfill, it's serving a different purpose for people that are struggling food poverty. For example, this morning I had Children's Council and Oxfordshire County Council with 2 of their clients wanted if they could take some food from the fridge, which is for landfill for their families. It's very sad to hear this, that Oxfordshire County Council and Children's Council have to approach us to come and collect this food that's for landfill for their families. But that's reality at the moment. So if I go back again to COVID, when COVID hit, the fridge was just sort of self-sufficient, people help themselves, and we had to stop people coming to collect food, obviously with COVID. We didn't even have an email address, so overnight we had to create an email address for people to send in what they wanted, the requests, if they were isolating or whatever they had, so we could deliver parcels. So we did that overnight, and then within over COVID 3 months, we sent out 2,500 parcels, food parcels for the community. It was quite weird because the majority of our community actually stood up to help. People that we sent out parcels to were white Caucasian families, 95%. And our community wanted to help the community that was struggling. So the community really came together. It was like cohesion work together. We have really put ourselves on the map for Bambi Mosque. We're sort of well known in the area. People come to visit us, people ring us if they're in a crisis. Because with food banks, you've got to ring up, wait for a day or two to collect food, whereas they ring us up and within hours, minutes, we can deliver food or get them access to food, which is the main priority. We've moved away from food to education, more so second lockdown, to help the community become a bit more independent, because the community didn't know how to use Zoom, didn't know how to use Teams. For myself, I was sort of struggling with IT as well, and I was sort of trying to learn myself, but also help the community. So we're doing that, and we've done quite a few mental health courses via virtual learning. Our parents struggled to get onto the internet to teach their children over second lockdown, so we sort of tapping into the industry of the IT industry. And something that I've just seen pop up recently again is swimming. Our community want to swim, our ladies want to swim, but can't swim due to segregation, due to funding, due to accessing the facilities. So my job is really sort of quadrupled from doing food bank to helping the community access to food, to education, to supporting the community, and basically a bit of everything. So I've got my hands in different pies all the time. I think I'll stop there, but quite a lot of the information what we do is if you just go on our Facebook page, that will tell us what we do for the community. I hope I've covered everything there.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Diane didn't tell me I was going to be speaking today. That's the other thing. She's just said, there you go, Yasmin, but what I had ready in the top of my head.
Okay, Yasmin, thank you. We have about a minute left. Could you share a bit more about the fitness work that you do in the community?
Yeah,
We're here looking at Oxfordshire Active and how we can all be more engaged in this question of the cultural inequalities, specifically the cultural inequalities.
So the cultural inequalities is again straight away with swimming, where the ladies need to swim in segregated space. Same with the gym, the ladies need a separate space because as Muslim ladies, they don't have mixed classes. We've got to sort of we have exercise separately. We have built on that by having two ladies night, Thursday night and a Sunday night, 8:30 to 10 o'clock when the gym's closed, and on a Sunday 7:30 to 10 o'clock when the gym's closed, for the ladies to access these facilities. Our insurance has made it so that the girls from age 12 plus can access this as well. So the girls can come with their mums. So it's a family thing. So the ladies and the girls come along with their mums together. The gym is almost like accommodating the community for what they want it for especially for the ladies. And it is top heavy for the ladies. Though at weekend we've opened up for the boys and the girls to have boxing classes and fencing classes. We're also working on having for the over 12 boys to come and use the gym for cardiovascular classes, which is the treadmill, the stepper, the rower, because they can use cardiovascular, but they can't use weights till they're 16. We've also got a fitness class that comes in. They do food, what to eat, what not to eat, and how to exercise. So sort of giving the holistic approach about losing weight and being so mindful and wellness. So we're working on that, and that happens as of Christmas. That was after second lockdown. So again, that's fantastic for the community, and it really has flourished, and it's going from strength to strength.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Thank you for that very comprehensive roundup, and congratulations on all. I know you work tirelessly, absolutely tirelessly. So thank you for your devotion and commitment to your community work. We'll discuss more later.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move along to Sister Taiwa Oluwatui. She was introduced in the introduction, so moving swiftly along, Sister Taiwa has a very, very inspiring story to show an expression of community resilience, how no matter what we meet, in the system that could be seen as an obstacle or something that prevents us from engaging with the needs of what our children are requiring, and also their development. Sister Taiwa will share her experiences about her journey with her daughter, which continues to this day, and also her efforts to establish the African Caribbean, I need to look at my notes for this, support group for families living with autism. Thank you, Sister Taiwa.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Taiwa Oluwatui. Thank you, sister, my beautiful Saint Queen, for introducing me to this space and for letting me know there's more to it out there. I didn't know about that. My journey started because I have a 21 years old autistic daughter, and before now, it was a lot of work into it. I've put a lot of work into my daughter for me to get here. And the reason for, I have a group called African Caribbean Autism Family Support Group. And the reason for that group to be birthed is because when my daughter was growing, there is a lot of things that we were lacking. We were unable to get access to out there. It was so difficult, like whenever we go out to, she's kind of person that she likes to sing, dance, and modeling. And whenever we go out looking for activities where it could be suitable for her, after 2 times of trying, we will always come back. They will always come back to us with a kindly, gentle voice to say, we're sorry, the space is not built for my daughter. And so it was difficult. And so when we were just managing like that, and at some point she was dancing around the house, in the kitchen, in the sitting room, everywhere. And I had to build a dancing studio in the garden for her. I had to move house. I had to change a house because of that situation, so that I can find a suitable place for her where she could be expressing herself. And so that was how we put up a dancing studio without any support. Even I asked for support at that time, and I was told that if I had to build a school for her, I will be isolating her. And I said, well, we are always isolating anyway, but how can we burn this stress that we are in, especially for me to see what she's doing in the house, dancing in the sitting room upstairs, and the rest of the family is affected by it. I had to do that by myself. And so she was, there doing her dancing, and I would take her out as well with a little support, I would say, because it's difficult to get support. And so in 2018, after going all out looking for help, I just decided, you know what, I come across a lot of women who are also going through the same situation like me. I call it minority women, not just, me. And so I find myself like we're on regular basis spending time together with all these women or individually. And I called them together, you know what, can we set up a group for ourselves where we can be meeting on regular basis, so we can share our experience, we can share our, express our feelings together. And we did just that. This started in October 2018. That was when the group started, and we were meeting every month. We were so related to one another. So every year we open up a barbecue in the garden, because we couldn't go out. There was no socializing. We couldn't socialize. We couldn't meet anybody because nobody will help to look after our children. So we had to create a space for ourselves. And so when we did our first barbecue, all the children were there. They brought all their children because we were together. We relate to one another. So they're free to bring all their children, and all the kids were so happy, which was so something that had never been done before. And I was so happy, because I have a passion, to help women, I like to see everybody happy, bubbling. That's just me. And I find that how can I have this in me, and I want to keep it to myself? It wasn't me, so I had to create that space for us. And so we've been having time to time, sometimes we create time to go out, that is the thing that we love doing. Until I met my sister. She came into my life, and she was the open advisor, helping me. This thing I'm going to help you and I'm going to make it happen for you. My vision in this archives, I want to create a space for archives where people can come and make a home, a loving space where we can come, where we can relax, where our children can find peaceful when they come. All I need is a space, like a community center where we can meet on regular basis so that we can come together. There is so many activities that's because I'm a creative person, I'm a fashion designer also, I can dance also, like I think my daughter took that after me. So these are things that we could be doing together. We can do like a regular exercise, regular dancing exercise, and we can, that space will be for our children to come and express themselves. We want to find out what is in them that they have, but they are not able to show because there is a place and they're so isolated. They couldn't express that. We couldn't find them in them. You know, so that is that is what the archive is for a place where they can come on regular basis, a place where they can share their thoughts, a place where they can find a home, a place where everybody can come and relax, a place where we can go out and spend time together. There is things that we do as Africa, we call us too hard to reach. We don't know that there's so many things that we carry, there's so many burden in the inside of us, but if somebody didn't come out, it's just going to be there. And I'm so grateful for this Pamoja space to be happen, and they are ready to help us to make this thing happen for us. So I'm so happy that I'm part of this vision, that, you know, this to be here today to share this with you. So I need a space, I need a fund, because we want to be able to train ourselves as well. You know, that self-confidence, that building up thing, we need this thing. If we don't have all this support system, it's going to be difficult, and our children are going to be suffer due to that. So that is my vision. 3 things that I have is a vision to help all the women's African Caribbean Autism Family Support Group. It's a space where we can meet on regular basis. And the second is, you know, a community center, and also a fund that we can use to, in terms of training our children and take them out. Like occasionally we can go to maybe an event together as a family. You know, there's so much that we can create in together if we have that opportunity. So my time is up, and thank you so much. I'm going to be here just if you have any questions. Thank you. God bless.
Taiwa. We can feel your passion, we can feel your emotion. We know it comes from a very deep and personal place, and this is the reality. These are very personal experiences. Thank you for sharing your experience and your, again, commitment and devotion to the work at hand. I would just like to highlight that Taiwa's story links very much to what Jackie spoke about in the beginning. Taiwa's organization is not legally registered, and this is what we found in that process that has led us to Pamoja Oxfordshire. It's not that the work is not being done. Very important and necessary work is being done on the ground, and there are reasons why the legal structure and that aspect of visibility, therefore, you know, becomes a very big issue to consider when, for example, funders are looking for groups to support or funding bids go out. So these are some of the complexities, let's say, that we have begun to unearth in the Pamoja Oxfordshire process. Thank you again, Sister Taiwa.
You're welcome.
Natasha is up next. Natasha Summer is the Active Reach Outreach Officer, equally as ebullient and highly energetic. Natasha, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As you just mentioned, I'm Natasha. I work for Active Reach project in Oxford, part of Oxford Hub, and I'm also an active ambassador for Active Oxfordshire. But the reason I'm here today is I'm very passionate about sport. As Diane just mentioned, I'm very lively, but my thing that I'm very passionate about is inclusion. And through my sports of what I've been doing in the community is getting more people involved into community sports. So I've just put a link in the chat of an event that I'm doing, which is called Blacks Can't Swim. So this is one of the main things, is like in the Olympics that we only had one representation of a lady going to the Olympics to swim. So people feel that we can't swim, and I want to change that negative stereotype that Black people can swim, but to get more people involved into swimming, to stop the awareness of people dying because they can't swim. If you're a parent and you've got a child, you might not be able to swim. So part of my role is to get more people active. And one of them is through swimming with my partner Ellie through Ready, Set, Go, which we focus on getting people cycling in Oxford, and swimming is also another project that we do in Oxford. So we've got an event coming up on the 29th of October, next week, Friday, at the Bowls Club on Sandy Lane. It's just next door to St John Fisher School. So it'd be very interesting if some of you guys can go and find out more about people's perspective and what the film shows about people's ways of thinking why Blacks can't swim, but also it's a film showing you different attributes of how young people think about swimming and older people's views about swimming. So it'd be very good if people could watch that. But through my work, one of the other things I do, just a little list here, is try and include and get more women especially out and about. So like some people might not go to activities because there might not be somebody that looks like them. So they could be the only person of color at an event that can make them feel a bit uncomfortable being the only one there. And I know about that from doing athletics like most of my life. So that's another reason why I want to make things more inclusive. So you're not the only one that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, but even though I didn't. So I might be the only non-white person on my coach, a 52-seater. And then when I'd go to a different city, I'd be surrounded of people by myself, but it shouldn't just be me that's the only one person on the bus. I want more people that look like myself and other people. So another area that I'm trying to tap in and highlight to get more women aware is the Muslim ladies predominantly. So another thing that I've been doing is boxing. We've been doing women's boxing at the Omar gym, which is in the Feel Fit gym above the club in County Centre. And that's been going very well. We have on average between 7 to 16 women of all different ethnic backgrounds, which is really, really good to see. So that shows that, you know, word's getting about, and especially with the Muslim women, you can come because it's women only. So that's also a great inclusion. And another aspect is the social aspect. So when you come out, you see people like yourself, you go to a session, you get to meet friends. So it's a very good social benefit aspect of that. So another conclusion from the women interacting with each other is that they're going out for a meal, I think beginning of November. So that's good unity, and it shows you through confidence the women are empowering each other to get out and about, which is a really great thing. But the main thing that I'm really focusing on at the moment is like the cycling, and we're doing a walking group in Blackbirdies, which is a women's only walk group, which is an ethnic minority group. They're called Oxfordshire African Caribbean Multicultural Association. So they're starting routes on a Saturday morning at 9 AM, meeting at the Blackbirdies Leisure Centre. So anybody who wants to come along for a walk and chat and meet like-minded women like yourself, just come along. So yeah, that's basically mainly what I'm doing, just trying to empower women to get involved, but not just women, but that's mainly majority of them. And we also did, through the COVID, we did outside activities. So the football we did, which is a women's football team, lots of diversity there, which is fantastic. That's also on Blackbird Lees. And also we used to do a Keep Fit session outside on Blackbird Lees. So we can't always get into the leisure centres or community centres because of the COVID. So we made use of making space of the leisure centre land outside the back and just doing things outside there like jogging, cycling. So, you know, the more you're seen outside, the more people passing and dropping off their kids to school or out and about, they see like, you know, women of colour, women like themselves, and more engaged to pass around and say, oh, what's going on? But I'm easily approachable. So I'll just chat to anybody and let them know what's going on. So back over to you, Diane. I hope I answered your questions.
Fantastic work. Thank you, Natasha. We've also got Jackie in the chat saying such amazing initiatives, Natasha. Again, incredible energy. So this is an example that shows once more that there is a lot of work going on the ground. We'd like to, in this very short time that we have together to address huge and complex issues, take a moment to gather in number in breakout rooms for 7 minutes. And I'll ask you all to consider the question, the one word that you wrote down in the chats, or that came to you when you placed your hand on your heart and thought about what emotion you feel when you think about race and cultural inequalities in public space. Bring that word to this conversation. What are our key priorities from whichever space within which you sit. There isn't much space for discussion, but it would be nice if you could come out with what maybe the top 3 priorities for your group, and then we'll feedback in a swift session afterwards. You'll now be placed into breakout rooms. Thank you. See faces. Welcome, everyone. Thank you. Welcome. We have 8 minutes left. I hope you had some rich, if not very swift discussions. I'd like to invite the first group. I think we had 3 groups. Is that correct, Scott? 3?
Yeah, we had 3 groups. That's right.
Okay. So who's ready to feedback from group 1? Kindly unmute yourself and share with us the words that were shared in your group and the top 3 priorities, if you were able to get to those. Thank you. Can I see who it is who is representing group 1?
We were just trying to decide on that. So.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even
Lizzie,
remember what
Lizzie, are
number
you
we
happy to,
were.
or Jackie?
I'm happy to speak. I'm happy to speak.
No, oh, Yasmin.
Yasmin, yeah,
Unless
great.
you want to, Matt, jump in if there's anything that I missed off this. I was given my experience of how I've struggled over the 3.5 years as a volunteer to support the community, and the problem I've had is the hours that I have put in, endless hours of supporting the community. And if there is an event that comes from this district council or from another agency, for that to go to the community, it sort of almost like needs a little bit of a vetting, because the ladies won't turn up to a class because they don't know if it's going to be a female instructor, if it's going to be suitable, is the room going to be covered, that sort of stuff. So whereas that's the homework that I would do. So I'd speak to the funder would provide the funding, I'd get all that ironed out, and then I would pass that information on to them. And it's almost like a seal of approval form. So if it's come from the Bamboo Mosque or a community organisation, they know that it's going to have what they need, and the barriers will have been looked at and discussed. But there's only so much volunteering that we can do. So if I were to step away from this, the social contact that you would have would be gone and would be back to where we started from. So there's a big need of filling that gap of social, sort of a paid role of some sort. If we were to just leave it for volunteering, it can't continue on a volunteering basis, because a lot of funding is, they won't pay for core costs, they'll pay for the events and stuff, but it's not going to pay for people that's organising or volunteering this. The community has come forward and want to get involved, and they want to do this now. Activities, PE, football, cricket, all the different things. I mean, we had a ladies cricket this term, which is amazing, and the girls all joined in. I've got 3 ladies that want to do the cricket course in January, and for the ethnic ladies that want to do this is a real breakthrough. But we must hold on to the social contact that you've got. And I'm speaking of myself. If I were to leave this post as a volunteer, the whole social contact that you've got with Bamboo Mosque would be lost instantly. And I know there isn't anybody that would pick this up.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Yasmin. Can I ask you to close there, just to ensure that everybody else can get a chance? Yes, thank you, Matt, for typing it in. We just need to move on. Thank you so much. Can I ask for someone from group 2 to share?
Yes. Hello again, everyone. So we have interesting conversation right there, and the first one is love. You know, love is something that we lack in our community, and when we go out, we don't find that love among our, minorities, among, when we go out, we don't get the same love that we have for ourselves. We don't find the same love when we go out, and that is something that we're really lacking, and it's something that I hope that we can change in the future. So we have a compassion. So we feel like everyone should have a compassion for one another. In fact, when you look at it, I think it still go back to love as well, you know. So we should be able to, to be free, and when we see each other, to have, you know, give a space to one another and have a compassion for one another. So we have another topic, fairness, and everybody should be able to have fairness to one another. We should be able to think about, you know, you think about one another, think about when you put yourself in somebody's position, you know, you should be able to fair. And, you know, I think again, when you look at it, it still go back to love. We have about 2 times we have topic of love as well, which is family is important, and people, we need people to be able to have access, especially our minority. We are not able to have access to all the activities out there. When you look at it, it's still connected to love. So we, the last one is to have it's a safety, to have a protective space for one another, for each other when we go out, and we should be able to have a protective, a safety place. We shouldn't be in fear, you know. We should be able to be free and know that we are safe in wherever we find ourselves. So that is it from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sister Taiwa. Can I ask group 3, please? Who's speaking for group 3? No one? Who was in group 3?
I think Mary, did you take notes? You're muted.
Okay, sorry. No, I wrote a few things down. I couldn't actually hear everything very well. So if I start, maybe you could fill some things in.
Okay, 60 seconds, please.
We talked a lot about, we talked a lot about openness and the fact, I mean, there are several of us involved in community groups already, but we have the problem that we would really like to be open to ethnic minority people.
I've lost Mary. Can we hear Mary? Chris, would you like to continue? Because I can't hear Mary.
Well, I can. I mean, I think the point was that there are a lot of existing groups who need to consciously think about how they can engage with a wider audience, and may need support for that if they're going to be open. There was the concern about how far existing, you know, the idea that we have got an awful lot of community groups already. How far do we need to focus on diversity? And Natasha made some very good points on that, I think. And the idea really that existing groups need to have become the problem by not being diverse for many years, and we have to correct that imbalance. And there are some really good things being done. I mean, Harmy mentioned the sports side, Natasha mentioned her work.
Thank you for that. I'm sure that, and I know there's so much more. I just would like to stick to time. Thank you all for your contribution. From the beginning, we were very aware that this, and of course, all the themes for each of the Build Back Fairer sessions that are unfolding in the next few weeks and couple of months, are all very complex and require a lot of time. For this specific theme, race and cultural inequalities, we would like to perhaps open up the possibility for a part 2. So I'm going to hand back over to Matt, who will direct and share perhaps the possibilities of how that may happen within the remits of what we're doing here. Thank you very much, and thank you for your participation today. Matt, over to you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
As Diane said, this is we're hoping this is the start of a conversation. That's why we wanted to bring people together here. So we're really keen to hear from you following this, actually what you think the next steps might be. I think Chris started to bring some up there in terms of how we might be able to bring together some of the groups that are focusing on livability and the environment, but also with these groups that have been represented so well here today, who can represent the communities and Pamoja and all of this together. And I think, as was mentioned by Yasmin earlier on, one of the things we were talking about was that it's not just necessarily about the way the built environment is designed, it's how it's activated. And that's one of the key things at the heart of healthy place shaping, is that it's these making sure that these things work together, that it's that social infrastructure is often how we might need to support people to make use of the built environment around them. So please do continue. I'm going to ask Scott to turn off the recording in a moment, but if people want to chat in the side for a moment and make contacts, please do. Quite equally, if it's easier for you to contact myself or Jackie, well, make sure we send out a follow-up email, which please do reach out to in any way that you think might be possible for what our next steps might be. Specifically in terms of this series, as I mentioned earlier, the next Build Back Fairer session will be focused on people with disabilities, and we'll be joined by Keen Oxford and Katie Pennick, the journalist, disability access advocate and communications coordinator for Transport for All. So please do also sign up for that. Thank you very much for joining. As I say, I'll ask Scott to turn off the